Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for coming to watch. I've got you guys an update on a pretty big winter storm that's going to be moving through the Midwest and eventually into the Northeastern U.S. We're talking about snow totals on this one, similar totals to what we just saw a few days ago, and I've got you guys latest details on this big Arctic blast that has entered the United States and has been continuously just pumping in frigid temperatures from the polar vortex. All right, so I just want to start off this video by thank you guys so much for 500 subscribers. That is the biggest milestone I've ever hit on this channel. I mean, I'm at a loss for words, and I haven't got the chance to sit down and just thank you guys for it. So I'll make an appreciation video sometime in the next few days. All right, but yeah, that's just a blessing to be able to have that many people that just like watching what I do, and just like watching me do what I love. All right, which is forecasting weather. All right, but let's get rocking and rolling here on your Wednesday evening. All right, you can see that right now we've got two things to talk about. One, we've got a pretty big storm moving over the northwest. All right, this is going to be pushing off to the east. I don't think this is really going to cause any big storms, but this will try and move its way as far east as it can. I don't think it's going to get that organized. We're going to probably talk about that in a future video, but just not in today's video. This is what we're tracking here. I'm tracking a winter storm that's currently moving over portions of Iowa, portions of Nebraska, and northern Missouri. This has been dumping a fresh, 3 to 5 inches of snow on um, areas that just saw this big blizzard that went through. That was an historic blizzard, and yeah, we've got more snow. So we got snow moving through Lincoln, Nebraska. That's actually pulling out right now. This is moving towards northern Missouri and in central Illinois, northern Chicago, northern Illinois and central Illinois. I meant to say that Chicago, you guys will probably be going to bed tonight with some light to moderate snowfall coming down. This will accumulate for a few inches of snow because we just got, this pretty nice sized winter storm moving through. So it'll probably be snowing all night for Chicago. All right. We got more lake effect snow, guys, in the Northeast. It's insane. It's incredible how much it's been snowing, but that lake effect snow is still ongoing here. You can see a lot of lake effect snow towards the east of Lake Huron, or sorry, Lake Superior, also to the east of Lake Huron, but it's really off of um, Ontario here, where we're actually seeing the heaviest lake effect snow. It's right into here, right by the Buffalo and Syracuse area. I'm not sure if it's getting that far east, but definitely Buffalo's still seeing that pretty heavy lake effect snow. All right, so we move on here to our alerts. All right, so yeah, we're talking about that big deep freeze winter storm, guys. I just want to say that we are very dangerous right now with your current conditions. I want to just talk about the Northeast right now because the Northeast, remember, you guys, we just got hit by that big winter storm. I'm including myself because I'm out here on Long Island. That dumped a few inches of snow for many of us. All right, but all that snow is starting to freeze, and so all that snow is now ice. So any of that water or snow that was on the ground or on those roadways, all right, that's all ice right now, and so uh, there's been spots of black ice, and I'm on the coast of Long Island, so farther farther inland, the areas that got hit harder. Imagine how treacherous travel is for you guys, and we've been slipping around out here. It's pretty crazy. So travel will be impacted with the second storm completely because that Arctic front is still pushing its way off to the east. All right, but in the deep south, in this purple shade here, that's where you have hard freeze warnings. All right, this is where we're concerned for any of that, once again, any of that precipitation that's on the ground to freeze over. And so that's all going to be ice. This is all black ice that we're going to be seeing throughout portions of central Alabama down to southern Georgia and northern Florida. That's where that purple shade is. Temperatures will be getting down below 30 degrees in some areas. You could actually see in northern Florida, a little bit off to the east of there. That's where we have this very dark blue shade. That's where we have freeze warnings. All right, that is one of the highest levels of freeze. Just alerts that you can get here. All right, and then in this blue shade right here, very close to that freeze warning, that's where we have let me see, frost advisors. All right, so Now into the north central United States. All right, this is in that purple shade here. We've got winter weather advisories going from areas of eastern Montana all the way down through the Dakotas, mainly South Dakota, but then into central and western portions of Iowa, and then northeastern Nebraska. Forgot to mention, all right, in the Ohio Valley down towards Tennessee and Kentucky. This is going into northern Mississippi and portions of eastern Arkansas. That's where we still have um, winter weather advisories. We've been actually dealing with some freezing rains, some ice in this area. I'm not really worried about anything, just maybe a few hundredths of an inch of ice in this area. All right, but I'm not worried about any terrible travel delays. So we're gonna talk about you guys, but not any ice accumulation totals or anything. You got winter storm watches going out for portions of West Virginia, out ahead of that system that's coming up, and also notice into portions of southeastern PA and then New Jersey. All of New Jersey, I believe, is under a winter weather advisory. This is including Philadelphia, not up to New York City, but that'll change, I believe, by tomorrow morning. We should be under a winter weather advisory. All right, but for the Northwest, once again, in this pink shade, you've got winter storm warnings going out for portions of Montana and through northern Idaho, and then upstate, or really just all the general area of Washington State towards the border, and then off to the east, or sorry, off to the west. All right. Um, in this blue shade here, this kind of light blue shade, this is where we got wind chill advisories. These have been downgraded from wind chill warnings. I personally think that we're still very cold in this area, so please, because the wind chill warning has been lifted, please just don't go back to kind of underestimating how cold it is and not preparing yourself for the cold. It's still bitter cold out here, bitterly cold in northern Missouri, northern and central portions of Kansas through southern Nebraska. Is still very cold out there. All right, you've just got a mix of winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings out in the rest of the Northwest, just those mountainous regions that are still going to get hit by that snowfall from that system coming up. All right, so let's get going here. Taking a look here at the northwestern United States. Just looking at what we've got going on. Right, this was 2 p.m. today. We've got a horrible mess. We've got a pretty big winter storm moving in. This is bringing extreme mountain snow, guys, to the northwest. Look at this. You got 992 millibar low, bringing all this precipitation through the western United States and northwest, Pacific Northwest, and it's going to be pushing off to the east. Got mountain snow and some cold air whatsoever in front of this. I mean, it's very moist because of the moisture. You can see the stream of the moisture in these little gray lines. The stream of the moisture is pushing with the system. All right, so there's some moist air around here. You've got a jet stream, a dip in the jet stream. This is your dip in the jet stream right here. All right, that's allowing for all this cold air to start sinking in. I think that could support a boundary to set up of cold air, where we'll actually see more snow for the mountainous regions, the upper elevations of probably Wyoming into Idaho. But we'll see. All right, so let's get this going here. We'll talk about let's push this to 10 p.m. tonight. All right, watch as we go from what was happening this afternoon to now. This storm is really falling apart as it moves off to the east, but you still got a lot of snow. This is a big system and strong nine. Usually you don't see any organized systems move to the Pacific Northwest. This is where all of our storms that impact the central and eastern United States come from. Usually they don't start out this organized, but it's looking pretty good. You got a substantial winter storm and 994 millibar low. Nothing that I don't think that would get named here, but you've got heavy mountain snow, very heavy for areas of Montana and then into Idaho, northwestern Wyoming. But even for the surrounding areas, like just everybody out there in the northern Montana, it's going to deal with very, very cold snow. All right. I know snow is obviously cold, but it's very cold out there and it's going to be very snowy. That's why you have winter storm warnings up in this area. Now, I talked about that boundary of cold air setting up. Well, this is actually a good scenario here for more snow because look at this dip in the jet stream. It's more farther south like I expected, but you've also got warm air nearby, meaning that you still got a lot of moisture built in the system. You could actually see some of that ridging starting to form. The storm is pumping in, trying to pump in as much moisture as it can from the Pacific. This is a good setup for you guys in western Wyoming and then portions of central and southern Idaho. I think that's where we're going to see the heaviest snow. So, middle of the night tonight, through the border of Wyoming into northern Utah, we're going to see some snow really picking up there as the system moves off to the east. But then you got another system coming in behind it. This will be right on its tail. And by tomorrow, we'll still be dealing with rainfall moving into areas of Washington and Oregon. And then we can actually see that this stripe of blue is really impacting the same exact areas as what we saw with the past systems. That's marking where that snowfall is going to be. This one's going to bring in too much. Excuse me. It's gonna be bringing in too much moisture and too much warm air from the Pacific that I think that we're gonna see less snow from the system before this completely moves off into the rest of the Northwest. But we continue this. We're getting to this is tomorrow here, and we're getting to tomorrow night. This is 9 p.m. 10 p.m. You got heavier snow starting to set up between Washington and Oregon, and then also some wintry mix, maybe some ice settling in, mixing in there before the system actually this low is just hanging off the coast. It's not really doing anything, but it almost looks like the storm is moving north at this point. I think it's getting caught up in that moisture stream, which isn't. It's not moving like this. It's moving more or less like this. All right, so I think we've got a little bit of a ridge starting to build up in the northwest. So that's going to lead to less snow. All right, but I think that's going to be after the system that's coming in because you can see we're still going to be dealing with widespread snow today and tomorrow. But then by tomorrow night, when that second storm comes in, it's going to be mostly rain for pretty much everybody in the northwest. All right, so we look at totals here. All right, the NAM is in favor of a lot of snow for that corridor that I pointed out for just areas along the border of Wyoming and into extreme eastern, southeastern Idaho. That's where we're actually dealing with the NAM is supporting maybe around 10, 12, maybe a foot of snow here for areas as far south as northern Utah. We're talking about maybe 14 inches of snow. It's pretty crazy, but this is a lot of mountain snow going up through the border here of Idaho and Wyoming. That's where we're going to be dealing with about 8 to 10 inches. But surrounding areas of that still could see a few inches of snow, but maybe a little bit higher. It really depends on the position of where you are. It's very scattered here, but you can see into central and northern Idaho. Central Idaho, we're talking about maybe 12 to 14 inches for some of you guys. Right in this pink and red shade, that's right around a foot of snow is what I'm expecting here and what the NAM is showing. But north of into northern Idaho, that's where we're talking about maybe 8 to 10 inches with maybe some areas getting a little lucky, maybe a little bit more of that. Depends on if you're a winter weather fan or not. All right, but notice this: we saw that more widespread snow impacting other areas of Montana. Well, here it is. The signal for that is 4 to 6 inches. So there's a pretty strong signal of a substantial winter storm for the lower elevations of northern Montana. So even if you're not, right by a mountain, or if you're not living up on the mountains or anything, all right, don't count yourself out for several inches of snow. I think it's certainly possible, and we can see for areas obviously off to the west where where the more upper elevations are. That's where we're dealing with definitely around a foot of snow, but. I mean, it's this area that's getting hit all the time over and over again. I've been noticing it's right in here. All right, it's right in between, going all the way up from the northern sections, north central Washington State, all the way down through southern Oregon. That's where I've just been tracking a lot of snowfall coming in the past storms. We're talking about maybe 21 inches of snow. These are upper elevations, guys. You can see they kind of look like bubbles. These more significant totals. That tells you that these are mountainous regions. So if you are living in the upper elevations of Oregon or Washington State in the northwestern United States, I think you got a good shot at seeing a few, maybe up to 2 feet of snow tonight. Really depends on just where your precise location is. But please let me know, guys. I'd love to know how much snow you're seeing out here anywhere in the United States because things are just getting very active. But even for the surrounding areas off to the east into eastern Washington State, we're still dealing with about 2 to 4 inches, I would say, for some areas here. So yeah, I think everybody's going to see a pretty nice, at least a nice few inches of snow, but some people definitely see a very strong and substantial winter storm. And I did mention that it's nothing too crazy. Well, it's this typical mountain snow. You usually see a foot of snow when you get at least a substantial winter storm to come through. But I'm talking about the regular elevations, the lower elevations. I don't think it's going to be too crazy because we're talking about 4 to 6 inches at max. But it's definitely not nothing. All right. So moving on from the northwest, we're looking at now the Midwest here. All right, we're talking about a pretty large system coming through that's going to be really developing as we move into the east. But this is going to obviously start out into the Midwest, and so we get into tomorrow. We're basically midway tomorrow, about 3 p.m. tomorrow. The sun's starting to set here at this point. But you've got snow falling over portions of southern sections of Minnesota. You got northern Iowa, and then portions of eastern Nebraska and southeastern South Dakota. This is all going to be trying to move off to the east as fast as it can. It's moving pretty quickly because it's getting caught up in that west to east flow on the jet stream. The jet stream's not getting as active as it was, but you still got a polar plunge here. Sometimes I call it like that. But basically an Arctic blast. This is your last one, I would say, of this Arctic outbreak here. You can see the jet stream is just, it's cutting right through central Kansas and then Missouri. That's going to allow for this entire area to be below freezing. So any form of precipitation that's behind this 534 line, all right, this 540 line, all right, that's all going to be snow. I would be surprised if anybody saw rain out here. That's how cold it's going to be. Maybe some freezing rain because it's just going to be so cold, but I think that's just going to be farther south. All right, here it comes. It's getting, we're getting into late tomorrow night, and I think that we're going to have a period of heavy snow for areas of south central Iowa, northern Kansas, northern Missouri. This is going into northern Illinois, into south central Wisconsin, and we may even deal with a little bit of lake effect snow that's going to kind of come into play with this system as we get late tomorrow night. All right, so Thursday into Friday, and then we get into the very early, extreme early morning hours of Friday. This is really the middle of the night. Notice how this blue line up here, it dips a lot. That shows you that there's still a lot of cold air coming in. The jet stream is dipping, and it's at this point it's dipped all the way down below how far down this map goes. But we still got a continuous stream of cold air coming down, feeding into the storm behind it. All right, but you can see the heavy band setting up right off the coast here of the Great Lakes here for eastern sections of Wisconsin. That's where we can see heavy snow set up, and this is going to be moving out. But definitely some banding can set up on the backside of the system. Maybe the late morning hours of Friday. All right, but I think it could still be snowing for areas of Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana before this system moves off into the Northeast. All right, so totals for the Midwest, nothing too crazy. Definitely nothing like what we saw, just a few days ago. But we'll start it here for northern sections of Iowa. This is a lot easier, guys. This forecast for me, it was so long just getting through all the totals that we were talking about a few days ago with that big blizzard. But this is not looking pretty bad out here. We got just about an inch or two of snow for areas, really all areas of Iowa, and then northern sections of Missouri, about coating to an inch of snow. All right, you can see north eastern portions of Nebraska about 1 to 2 inches. So really about 1 to 2 inches for everybody in the Midwest, and then that'll continue through central Illinois. Northern Illinois, on the other hand, though, if you're off to the Great Lakes, you may see the Great Lakes may influence how much snow you get, meaning that'll raise those totals. So maybe somebody out here could get 2 to 4 inches, 4 inches at max. That would be the worst case scenario here. Just for, in perspective of higher totals, but 1 to 2 inches for southern Wisconsin. Now we get to the higher totals. This is where things get a little tricky here. Central and northern Indiana. It's an area that's been missed a lot by some big winter storms. We're going for a lot of different totals here. I would say 2 to 4 inches will be the norm, or not the norm, guys. I apologize. The just the average was what I meant. All right, but if you go right up to northwestern, like just the corner point of northwestern Indiana, you may get lucky and end up with 8 to 10 inches. There's a spot I'm watching for that, and the NAM's picking up on that. But I would say same thing for Ohio. Just if you're in northeastern Ohio, about 5 to 8 inches of snow from the Great Lakes here, but if you're in southern sections of Michigan, about 3 to 5 inches, 3 to 6 inches, and then central and northern portions of Michigan seeing about 2 to 4 inches of snow. All right, so that takes care of the Midwest. Now we look at the Northeast. What's in stock for the Northeast? This, I think, is going to be the hardest hit area from the system. It's going to be a nice storm for a lot of you guys. I mean, we just got over that big, not big, but just that nice system. Actually, it snapped the dry spell of snow for areas along the I-95 corridor. I believe D.C., New York City, and I don't know about Trenton, New Jersey, but I definitely know D.C. and New York City snapped their dry spell. I'm not sure about Philadelphia. I'm not sure about Baltimore either. All right, but yes, definitely a nice system to have. All right, so yeah, so what's going to be happening tomorrow? Well, tomorrow you may get fooled. Some areas that are up into the interior Northeast. You may think this is a storm coming in. Well, it's not. This is lake effect snow. Another big band actually moving off to the east. This is going to be right in front of that system. May even phase with the system. All right. This is going to be the morning hours of tomorrow. So you're waking up tomorrow morning to some snow for upstate New York through northern Ohio, eastern portions of Michigan. That is your first round snow. That's from the snow that we saw on the radar earlier in the update. All right, so that moves on out, but that kind of it almost fizzles out. All right, it kind of just it sticks around for a little bit, and it's just a lot of snow falling generally over upstate New York, Finger Lakes region, and then areas north into the Great Lakes. All right, so now at this point we're getting midday third tomorrow. And you may see snow as far south as extreme northeastern PA, but I don't think anybody else is going to see any snow from that. All right, so that kind of stays around for a little bit. But here comes that system. Notice how you're going to be dealing with some freezing rain and some rain for the upper elevations of Tennessee and then interior portions of North Carolina, but mainly I would say Kentucky, eastern Kentucky, and then portions of southern West Virginia is where we'll see that that overall winter storm impact. All right, but here comes that big swath of snow. It's coming in from the north side of things, but I'll look at the NAM here just quickly, the NAM 3 kilometer model, and I just want to show you guys the setup as this comes in. All right, let me refresh this for you guys. Whatever, look at the GFS. I just want to get the 540 lines, and yeah, I don't know what's going on here. All right, apologize about that, guys. Let's get this back to the NAM 12 kilometer model. So anyways, I'll give you the setup here for the system. So before this comes in, first of all, you're not going to have that much moisture built into the system. That's why we're not seeing any crazy totals. But that also means cold air is going to have more room to settle in. So I think that cold air is going to be really farther south. And I think all these areas, like every single one of these areas, could definitely see a lot of snow from the system. I shouldn't say a lot of snow, but definitely some snow from that system. Here it comes. All right, we're getting Thursday into Friday. All right, we may be dealing with flurries, for areas off to the east. And NAM just is not picking up on that tonight. All right, but here it comes, and it really gets going Friday morning. If you're waking up a little bit on the early side Friday morning, you're going to be waking up to snow in all of Long Island, southern New England, all of the Northeast. It'll be snowing very hard in D.C., in Philadelphia, and definitely in Baltimore. It'll be snowing very hard in the Delmarva region here. But this is a big winter storm that we're watching as this moves in. But you can see that low is catching up with the system. You may enter a period of moderate to heavy snowfall for a few hours straight. Um, I would say I'll circle the area, but I think for areas extending from Rhode Island all the way out to maybe areas of South Central PA. This is the entire area I'm watching for heavy snow. That could be for New Jersey. I think that's definitely going to be for New Jersey, but that would include Long Island, New York City. Once again, these similar areas getting yet again another winter storm. All right, now we take this to midday tomorrow. What could we be dealing with? Well, that rain snow line. It's not looking too concerning for winter weather fans out here. I know there's a lot in the Northeast, but it's looking like it'll stay as all snow for all of New Jersey, all snow for southern New England. Not really any concern with that. It's just there's just not enough moisture packed into the system for us to drop a lot of snow. But we see just more widespread snow for everybody. This will be midway through midday on Friday for the areas of southern New England, but it takes a long time for this to pull out, and it'll probably still be snowing for basically the same areas as that we're seeing snow as the system was coming in. It'll still be snowing for those areas as late as Friday night. All right, and it's still snowing in New York City and Long Island before this moves out, and then backside upper level energy may bring maybe even more lake effect snow, and just it's crazy how much we're seeing. But yeah, that's a big system coming out. I would say that's a pretty good run of the NAM. All right, but what I'm also watching, and a few other people are watching, noticing, it was the HRRR that was showing this. All right, is what we saw. We saw a chance for a trough that would, I guess a trough that would kind of be flattening out as a line here and just be falling south dramatically. That would bring a period like just about an hour or so of maybe extremely heavy snow for areas just right into southern New England, especially southern New England. I think that's a possibility. All right, we'll just really have to see how this plays out, but that's pretty specific. We'll just we'll see how this sets up, and we'll see how well the system performs. But yeah, I would say that's a good one. All right, nothing that's too crazy, but definitely a nice winter storm once again. But it's not going to be nice when all that snow freezes over. All right, so I just want to go through these areas region by region. I'm changing I'm changing what I used to look at. I used to look at just the overall region, like all of the Northeast 4 year totals. But I'm gonna go region by region with this one. So talking about starting with New Jersey and then going into PA and Delaware here. So for New Jersey, we're talking about northern New Jersey around Sussex and Somerville. About Sussex. If you're in northern New Jersey, I would say 2 to 4 inches, but we're going for 3 to 4 inches in Somerville. But look at Trenton. Trenton going for 4 to 6 inches. That's a good winter storm there. At areas on the coastline, you know, it's the models have been predicting rain for this area, but then changing over to snow. We're still dealing with 2 to 4 inches, I would say, if I were to give you the overall amount. But in this entire blue shade here, this darker blue shade, this cuts through the I-95 corridor. All right, that's where we're talking about 4 to 6 inches of snow. So areas of including Trenton and really mainly south. But if Tom's River going for 2 to 4 inches, Vineland or Vinland, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, 3 to 4 inches. Notice Atlantic City only going for up to 1 inch. I think that could change, but you guys are just too far out on the waters and a little bit too far south. So it's very hard for you guys to get big time snow from these systems, but it's possible that you'll get an inch or two if you get the high end amount. But we'll go into PA now. You can see Mount Pocono 3 to 4 inches. Allentown going for 2 to 3 is the same thing for Reading. All right, Wilmington going. This is in Delaware, but 3 to 4 inches. Notice Philadelphia going for 3 to 4. That's close to that 4 to 6 range. So I think you guys in Philadelphia, I think you'll get the high end amount of your current forecast, which should be around 4 inches. So I would say if you're in the Philadelphia area, expect about 4 inches of snow. But you can see now into Delaware, Wilmington 3 to 4. if in the central Delaware near Dover, you got 1 to 2 inches. But if you're anywhere farther south than that, if you're in the south central or any area of Delaware, you're talking about up to an inch of snow overall. All right, so that was for New Jersey and surrounding areas. Now we look at southern New England. This is New York City's forecast, Long Island, and yeah. So take a look here. Looks like New York City right now is going for about 3 inches of snow. All right. We actually don't have estimates. We've got, or this is just a current forecast, straight up forecast, not anything like 4 to 6. We're just talking about straight up forecast here. So I also going for 2.8 inches of snow. Islip. Notice these South Shore cities here, including JFK, Islip, West Hamptons, all the Hamptons here. That's where that heavy band of snow we talked about on the HRRR could set up. Well, the National Weather Service is in support of that, and that could actually affect your totals by 1 inch, raising your totals by 1 inch. So maybe similar totals as far east as Montauk, still dealing with 2.7 inches. But if you didn't know, I'm in northwestern Long Island, so I mentioned that a lot in my outdoor updates. So I'm right around Syosset. I'm just to the north and west of Syosset, right up here. All right. But yeah, JFK is going for 3 inches right now. New York City going for about 2.7 inches. Now, if you're in northeastern New Jersey, Newark, Paramoose going for about 2.5 inches. Same thing for West Milford. All right. But for the rest of southern New York State, Cold Spring going for 1.8 inches, around 2 inches. Same thing for New City. White Plains 2.2, and then for Middletown 1.8. All right, now for Connecticut. All right, this is areas south of Hartford, where we'll be dealing with 1 to 2 inches generally. New London, Norwich, East Haddam, Waterbury, New Haven, Danbury. Everybody's really going to be around the 1.5 inch to 2 inch range. But if you're closer to the city, all right, near Bridgeport, and then pointing southwest, all right, you may be dealing with maybe a little bit over 2 inches of snow. That's possible. That's what we're talking about here based off the latest National Weather Service forecast. All right, but yeah, that was Southern New England. This may be the hardest hit area from the system, but it's looking like it could be for Philadelphia, Trenton, and surrounding areas. That's maybe what we'll see the highest impacts. Now, we'll talk about Boston here. This is the weather forecasting office out of Boston. I just want to say they do a great job out there. They work very hard. All right. So this is definitely very accurate information, and all the information that you see comes from very accurate sources. All right. So yes, when I talk about a forecast that is for a storm that's in the 1 to 2 day range, that's pretty accurate forecast, guys. All right. So for areas of northern Massachusetts, we're going about up to 1 inch. But if you're near Pittsfield, Great Barrington, Springfield, in all these areas, 1 to 2 inches. But Worcester or Worcester, I think Worcester and Boston going for 1 to 2 inches. Now down towards Cape Cod and the coast here in Massachusetts, this is where things may get a little interesting. I don't think it's going to be necessarily ocean effect snow, which isn't rare, but it's not common. I think it may be because the position of that heavy snow, because we're going to see that band set up and move through southern sections of Long Island that may continue up towards Cape Cod. So you guys don't always necessarily see the biggest winter storms. All right, but this one may drop several inches of snow for areas. Provincetown going for 3 to 4 inches, Hyannis going for 3 to 4. Oak Bluffs going for 3 to 4, Nantucket going for 2 to 3. That may get increased a little bit, but you can see Block Island going for 3 to 4. All right, but here's Hartford, guys. 1 to 2 inches. Same thing for Torlington, Waterbury, Wilmington. All right, and New London, all going for about 1 to 2 inches. Same thing for New Haven. But I think areas towards I-84, all right, towards the city. If you're going down to the city from Connecticut, like that's just general area. That's where you can see maybe an inch over what you see here, about 1 to 2 inches. All right, for Rhode Island, 2 to 3 inches generally. Charleston going for two to 3 inches. And then if you're farther north, you're just gonna see less snow. That's gonna be what's going on with the system. It's just because that low is going to be tracking farther south than these storms usually track. All right, so if you're farther north, you'll see less snow. If you're farther south, you'll see more snow. All right, so yeah, that was it. And then finally, we'll just mention areas here into interior PA. This is including portions of Ohio, and then into West Virginia. All right, we'll talk about PA here. This is a very hard hit area too. It's gonna be playing with the Trenton area. So two areas that could see the most snow. This will be more widespread. We could see Oil City, Carlton, Punxsutawney, all right, Punxsutawney. All right, sorry, Punxsutawney, PA. I know you guys really care about Punxsutawney out in PA. But anyways, 3 to 4 inches of snow here. If you're towards Oil City, about 3.5 inches, but down towards Punxsutawney, about 4 inches. Indiana, not the state, the city, 4.6 inches. All right, Uniontown going for about 6 inches of snow. That is actually no, Davis right here into this is all the way down to West Virginia, but Davis right now West Virginia is the leading forecast here for the highest amount of snow. Please let me know what you get out here. I know I've got a few viewers from the Northeast. Let me know, what your totals is. Just go outside, take a ruler, find an open area, and just dip it in the snow until it hits the bottom, and write in the comments what your amount was, all right, and your location. But Uniontown, Latrobe going for 5.5 to 6 inches of snow. Pittsburgh, PA going for 3.7. So that could increase to 4 inches. Washington going for about 4 inches. Butler 4 inches. Newcastle 4.2. All right, then off to into portions of southeastern Ohio, going for about 3.5 to 4 inches of snow. All right, so that's going to wrap up that storm for the Northeast. We'll look at the Southeast really quick. So, yeah, here it comes. All right, nothing too crazy. We may see some freezing rain, some sleet start to band here. This will be for tomorrow. We're getting about afternoon here, mid-afternoon. And we'll see some freezing rain enter northern sections of Mississippi into western Tennessee. All right, and then rain for everybody else. Nothing crazy, no thunderstorms or anything, just rain showers. All right, as we're below that, you can see we're below the 32-degree line, so we're still in that warm sector, and then we'll see freezing rain mixed with snow for areas towards northern Tennessee and Kentucky. But this storm really fails to just perform in general until this moves into the Northeast. So I'm not worrying about anything other than maybe some slight travel delays on those roadways into Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi. All right, but other than that, we should be good. And yeah, it's gonna wrap it up. So finally, we look at your current temperatures. All right, just want to get through this last part of the update. We're talking about tracking that Arctic blast here. So here it comes. You can see temperatures tonight will settle into the 20s. Some people will be below 0 degrees coming into tonight. But notice how we just got a very cold setup here going all the way down to the deep south, where currently on the Gulf Coast here of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, some of us are actually right around 32 degrees. So very cold, very far south. Right now, the Northeast is bitterly cold. Everybody's in the teens, but you've got below 0 temperatures coming down and through the north central United States. Here we go. Look at this. We're still like 20 degrees below 0 in Montana by tomorrow, but you've got a lot of cold air settling in front of that system. It's going to be coming in by Friday. And then just watch as we get later into like the last part of this week, and then eventually into next week, we see that cold air start to exit the eastern United States. There's that polar vortex. It's starting a little bit of waviness down, but I think we're going to see warm air return getting into the rest of January. All right, so that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. We'll see you guys next video. All right, so yeah, that was a pretty that's a pretty active storm that's coming up. We'll make itself bigger so you can see me, guys. I so yeah, just let me know, how much snow you see out there. All right, love to know those totals. All right. But we're still tracking that winter storm that's going to be moving through the Northwest, the Midwest, and then the Northeast. All right, definitely watch for several inches of snow anywhere in the Northeast, even if you're not in an area that's been seeing a lot of snow in the last few weeks or so. All right, I think a lot of people will definitely be seeing snow in the Northeast heading into Friday. All right, so thank you all for coming to watch this video. Thank you all for 500 subscribers, and I'll see you guys next update.